So in this video I'll talk about more about the the few APIs left for leases, like renewing the lease or cancel movings and etc. So what does renew lease mean? Renew lease mean that even if the user has, say, let's say there is a user or a tenant, basically a tenant living in a house, and the house has lease period of from January to December of this year's, from January to December, and the user wants to extend or renew the lease contract and saying that, oh okay, I don't want to move out after once the time period ends. I want to renew my lease and want to stay a couple of months or maybe or something like that. So basically that's how it works. Okay, so as we have another future lease left, so it will be very easier for us to test out the cases that we need to handle. Okay, so we have a current list active list going on, which is this, I think, active. Okay, so we have this active list currently going on. We'll take out the ID, and then what I'll do is basically have this, okay, lease ID. Okay, great. And then if I want to add, I can add more rents if I want. So let's say maybe 670 renewed lease. Let's say just give some random description: renewed lease, rent, something like that. Payment day, my birthday is 13, so let's say something like that. Okay, and we are providing the lease ID as lease ID something. Okay, so if I hit this API, okay, the important thing that we need to consider is basically the lease end date. Why it's important? Because the lease and non the new lease end date cannot be lesser than the given lease end date. So if I hit this API, so definitely it will throw me an error. So okay, maybe I haven't, okay, I didn't use this, sorry, my bad. So okay, the lease end date must be the last of the given month. Okay, very good, so no worries, I'll just make sure it's that given month. Now it says lease end date must be the last day of the given month. I think I've given that. Okay, no worries, I'll change it to 31. Now it says that given lease end date must be greater than the current lease end date. Why it's saying that? It's because the lease end date of the given lease is from this. It cannot be the same. Even if I provide the same lease, it won't work. So we will just make it different, yeah, and we make it to 501. Let's say on January, the tenant will extend the contract for just for 1 month, yeah. Why I'm doing that? Because we have another future lease that is inside of the same unit, yeah, the same unit. So that's why we want to test it out, yeah. Even let's say we want one step ahead and saying that this, yeah. So what should have happened in the first place? It will throw me an error saying that invalid lease end date. It won't work, yeah. Why it won't work? Because the given time frame, this given time frame, this given time frame, this date is between the given time frame, so it won't definitely work. So okay, sorry, my bad. So that's that. Selected. Now it says that okay, the previous error was basically the April has 30 days, so that's why it was showing me an error. Now you can see selected dates overlap with the future lease, please select another date. Why it's saying that? Because my lease start date is from this. Now the new lease end date is on this, yeah. The lease start date is out of this period, but the lease end date is out of this period. So basically this period is between my active leases start date and new end date. So it can't happen because simultaneously two can, because there won't be two simultaneous tenants in the same unit. We can't have that, we won't allow that. So that's basically an error. So let's say we make it to 331, it will throw me an error. Even if we make it to 131, which is between this given date frame, so it will obviously throw me an error. Give selected dates overlap with the future lease, please select another date. It won't work, yeah. So it's not working. So over here we have 231 and blah 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 etc. This won't work. To make it work, what we need is basically we need a lease that will end, right? Yeah. So okay, so just for the sake, I'll end this lease. Okay. Okay. Over here now we can test another function, that is basically cancel move-ins. It's not complex, it's very simple. Basically we just take any of the future leases ID and saying that, oh okay, I won't be able to move in to this period, so you can basically um, disclose the contract of the lease. So if I click on this, yeah, the request was accepted, and if I click on this, you can see that the lease end date, blah blah blah, and I think the lease was deleted. Because why it was deleted? Because we don't need the future lease anymore, so that's why it was deleted. So just for the sake of surety, saying that it's the id is 082, and then this id is 0cb, and after that there's no pages, so 0ec, the id with that specific lease was deleted. Yeah. Now I can over here you can see it. So that's basically the end cancel move-in. If we cancel the move-ins, so multiple things happen. The first thing is basically inside of the units array, units collection, over here we will basically remove the future lease, the first lease that we already started. Yeah, this is the lease that we have already started. It was on the future, we started the lease. Yeah, now that we want to renew, and for another future lease we have cancelled the move-in, so the future lease array becomes 0. In the lease histories we have 2 from the past and for the present, which we added in the first place, in the older, in the previous video, something like that. So okay, so now if I want to extend my lease, yeah, saying this, so it won't throw me any of the error. So saying that the lease was accepted, something like that, and then you could see over here 0cc and 0cf. Why it's saying that? It's because in the leases collection, if I go, and you can see right now is previously I just added this intentionally just to compare the data. So over here it's the previous data. Okay, it's the previous data. You can see 0cc 0cf is over there, that's good. But we have added another rent charge, another charge to the rents array, so which is the new id. So that's that. And if we calculate this, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, but over here we have 9 elements. Previously it had 8 elements, but for this new date the lease would have been ended on 24/12/31, but we have extended our lease 1 month. Just for 1 month we are adding another lease. So let's say even if we had another rent in the first place, 2 rents in the first place, so it would the error size would be 10, because for this given 1 month we are adding 2 charges. So that's the 2 ledgers or charges we can call. So that's that. And we have everything going on, nothing special going on over here. So that's basically how the renew lease works. So just for the code part, I think I've already showed add lease, start lease, that I don't think I've showed. So basically to start a lease, basically the future lease needs to be a true, basically doing the validations and etc. And after that it does just small validations in the aggregate pipeline, nothing much going on. And after that basically checks if the unit is occupied or not, and then the date using the moment.js, the populate ledgers I have already explained what does it do. And then after it does, basically it adds the ledgers to the ledgers collection as the lease gets started, and basically updates the data and etc. And for renew lease that we have added, so basically it validates the end date and last day of the month or etc. Basically checks the validations going on, is it, if the lease is evicted or not, if the lease is closed or not. We cannot extend a lease that is in the future, we cannot extend a lease that is in the past, we cannot extend a lease that has been already sacked or something like that. For now I haven't added any functionalities, but in future I will, so that's why I have added this property. And now I have some validations going on, blah blah blah, small validations, basically checking everything, validating the ledger date that we basically validates, updating the ledgers, the rents, and basically saving the lease and etc. So that's how it works. And for end lease, what does it do is basically it validates the given lease end date. That lease we want to add should be already active. So what it checks is the is closed cannot be false. We cannot close a future lease, we cannot close a past lease. So the close we can only close an active lease, that's that. We cannot close an evicted lease or sacked lease, something like that. And validating the tenant's data, blah blah blah. And basically why we are validating the tenant, why do we need that? Because as for the previous tenant's record, we want to store the name and the email. So that's why I'm making another call in the DB in the aggregation pipeline. So that's that. Property result, we are updating the property. If the lease is already ended, so from the properties occupied count, we will remove one. So basically I'll just show you an example over here. You can see we have a field which is occupied units. So how many occupied units are there in this property? I mean the properties that is that I mean the units that are associated with this property will be there, and basically will check the occupied units count. If the unit is closed or active lease is closed, so occupied units will count will decrement to 1, something like that. Just a small functionalities, nothing much going on. So that's that. Updating the model, updating the property, updating that we want to add delete the tenant from the tenants collection, updating the pulling the tenant from the users area, something like that. And also we are storing the save lease as now it's true, now it's closed, the status is inactive, tenant record, tenant is null, tenant record is name, blah blah blah, something like that. And also for the cancel moving works similarly like that. We can only cancel a lease that is in the future, so it has to be true, it cannot be closed. Validating the IDs, the references, and after that we are deleting the rents from the rents model, deleting the ledgers from the ledgers model, updating the unit, basically pulling out the lease ID from the future leases, and then tenant we are deleting the tenant company, we are removing the future tenant user from the users collection, and also from the users array of companies reference. And also that's basically it. So I've talked a lot, so you guys can think that a same function, inside of same function I'm using lots of MongoDB operations. So what if there is an occur in any of the operations, what happens then? To tackle this issue I'm using mongoose session. So just to confirm over here, let's go through add session, add list. Before adding a list, I'm saying that I want to start a session. So how the session works is basically a session is a mongoose transaction. It detects if there is an error, I will discard all the transactions that have happened across the DB, or if there is no error, then I will just accept all the transactions and then save all the transactions inside of my DB. So basically that's how it works. So I'll just give you an example over here. So over here you can see that I'm saving a user, yeah, but I'm passing a session. I'm updating the company model, but I'm using a session. I'm trying to add lots of ledgers and rents to their specified collection. I'm using session. Why I'm doing that? Because if any of the error occurs, I will check. If there is an error, that means the function is not the function have not been succeeded. So that's why I will decide that I want to discard all the transactions that have happened just quite some time ago. I will just discard them all and basically go back to the previous state. So that's how mongoose session work. So yeah, so I think I've covered up all the functionalities for leases and etc. So yeah, I think that's that. So now I'll just show you an example. So basically what does it mean? So if I click on this, you can see I'm getting lots of data. So what does it do is basically that's a tenant ID for that's a lease, and on which property it belongs, on which unit is it belongs, how much do the user left, in how many days the lease will expire or not, something like that. That's how I'm calculating it. I'll just show you the code, so it will be much more easier to explain. So in the leases services, I'll just go over there. By default, I'm saying that the page starts from 1. If the page is not provided, the limit is set to default 1. I'm just doing some calculation for the skip stage. Start date, today date, I'm checking. There are some date validation over here. So from which date, from which start date to which start date the leases was started, and from which end range the leases was ended, we can also check. And then now we have some validations going on. So what it does is basically, I have my pipeline. So basically it checks the match stage. In the match stage, if there is a filter going on, I will just push my filter to my condition. If the condition, the array length is greater than 1, that means that there is a condition, there is a filter. So I will just use the condition, and that means that we also need to use the search conditions, the filters. Company we are validating, and also the future leases. Over here we can also get the future leases or not. So if I click on this, I say that future leases, we don't need the future leases, right? So, and if I click on true, so if I have already removed or cancelled the future leases, so there won't be a data. Yeah, so that's that. And after that, aggregated matches, what does it do is basically, for aggregation, I'm just calling the tenant's name, the tenant email from the users collection. That's why I've used another separate array. We can use as much as array we want from for each of the collections. I have this. I have the aggregated match stage. If there is any, I have the lookup stage. I'm getting the ledger data for calculating how much do I have still left. The total due. Total, what does total due mean? Basically, if the payment date is already less than today's date, and also if the ledger or the charge was not paid, so that means it's due. So I'm just summing up the balances, because the balance is the amount is the amount that we want to pay, and the balance is the remaining amount, that is whatever left. So we are summing up the total due. And I'm looking into the users collection, user properties collection, units collection to get specific data. I'm using at fields, saying that in the main aggregation I want the tenant as a tenant, property as property, unit as unit. As we haven't unwind these, as we haven't flattened any of these lookups, so we are using array element, the first element that we are getting. So that's that. If we have used unwind, so we don't need the array element, something like that. And match stage, lookup stage, that I'll explain. Aggregated stage I'll explain. Sort is basically how we want to sort. Okay, I don't think I need this, something like that. Just a sec, just for the sake, I'll just explain sort by sort order. Okay, I don't think I need to say this as sort some filter. I can just use this. Yeah, sort by sort order. And how I want to sort my data, how many data I want to skip per page, the limit of the data I want to get, 10 data or 20 data, how much data I want to get on each pagination. The data I want to project, basically that's that. And expires in, basically is in how many days the lease will going to expire, from today to lease end, in how many days it will expire, basically calculates that. And tenant data, property data, and the unit data that I've already added in the add fields over, I think over here. Yeah, over here. So I'm just projecting those data. And the facet is important. What does facet mean? So the facet is basically calling or running an aggregation in a singular aggregation. So MongoDB aggregation works in a way, is basically I can call one aggregate, and basically I can run an aggregation in one of the collections, and I can basically look up data from multiple collections. That's not a problem. But the facet is basically running another aggregation, which is a secondary aggregation, based on the based on whatever we are on, based on whatever collection or model we are on. So how does it work is basically I'm doing lots of aggregations, pagination, I'm doing lots of filters and etc. But let's say I have two tenants, right? But I'm saying that I need the data for tenant one. So something like, let's try this out. So okay, just for testing this huge functionality, I'll just add multiple leases over here. So I'll just go multiple, I need a prospect, I guess. Yeah, that's the thing I need. I need the prospect ID. I need to add a property. I need to add a lease. So over here I go this prospect, change the prospect. So for same property and unit, I do the same. I have already a lease that ends on this specific date. So I think if I go 25 131, so I can start a lease from 2, I guess 2, let's say let's keep it 14, 25 331, let's say tenant 3, I guess. We can add multiple tenants, that's not a problem. Tenant 3, is it tenant 3? Let's say we just check, as I don't want to disrupt the flow. Tenant 2, tenant 1 we don't have. Okay, let's make it tenant 1. It will add the future lease as a future lease, obviously. So yeah, it added the lease as a future lease over here. Yeah, it's true, set to true. Now I want to add another prospect, I guess. Just for the sake of testing the pagination. Okay, I'll change the date from, starts from let's say 5, I guess 5/14 to 7, I guess 7/31. That works. Email, it won't work. I have 1, I have 2, I don't have 3, so let's say make it 3. Okay, the data was added. So if I go to the leases, you can see I added 2 of the leases as pending and pending, but for the sake of pagination I want to test, so I'll just test it out. So yeah, now if I click on true, previously it didn't have data, so if I click on true, so now it will only give me data that is in the future. So if you remember that tenant 1 and tenant 3 was in the future, tenant 2 was in the present, so it's not future lease, that means present. Tenant 2 was in the present, so that's why I got the data. So that's that. So tenant 2. Okay, so now what I'll do is basically sort by the names. Yeah, now I'll say tenant 1. Okay, now you can see I only get the data of tenant 1. If I click on 2, okay, there is no tenant 2 in the future. If I click on 3, there is a user that is in the future. So let's say I just say 3, nothing else, nothing more. You can see there is still the data for 3. I'll just show still 3. So that's how I'm basically validating. The email also works, the fields also work, something like that. That's that. So that's basically it for partial getting the pagination with the filterings and aggregations, pipelines, and etc.